party forever. How's everyone's day going? Give me some love in the chat. We had our seasonal release today. We did have some technical difficulties, so if you weren't able to get your order in, I recommend doing that here tonight and reach out to your customers, your inactive customers, your potential customers. It is like just such a great time to re-energize people. And if you were at work all day or busy, you may have missed, we did a Facebook Live event. So if you saw the event, I'd love for you to chat. Yeah, the event was incredible. Yeah, Robin rocked it out on the event. Oh my gosh, it was so good. So you guys, if you missed that, you can go back and watch it at any time and see all the different segments. I mean, I was laughing my butt off at Jessica Kohler. She was so hysterical, yet just real and relatable. Heather Godfrey had so many good gift giving ideas. And she actually took it a step further and she posted a ton of images of all the different gift ideas that she did. So cute. She posted in the Millionaire Girls Club if you're just catching on. It was just incredible. Del Rey did the recipes, Hayden did the performance. So what you can do, let me just shut this off here. What you can do, like if you think of someone from one of the videos, you can literally share them the video and you can say, oh my gosh, this is my business partner and they just did this and I thought of you because you should check it out. And they can watch. I mean, it's like 3 to 5 minutes. So anyways, I just wanted to remind you all of that. It's a huge week and, just be sharing, be bold. And, if some of you are asking yourself, how do I share? I'm getting tongue tied. Just be honest with me and throw a yes in the comments if you feel like you kind of trip on your words sometimes, right? Or are we all perfect little angels here? Yeah, yes. Okay, so no worries, because if you ever watched a video of me in the beginning, you would be like, there is hope. Okay, like no joke. In fact, it is on YouTube. I'll post it in the group. You can see a video of me. I think it was in my first 4 months. I never knew what to say. I said too much. I verbal vomited on people all the time. And you guys, it's normal. But today, whenever you're watching this, Del Rey is going to teach you how to be a master at storytelling. How exciting is that? Okay, because that's everything in this business. So I'm so excited. But before we dive into that, we need to have our little 10 minutes of nutrition talk. And there's no one better than our top income earner on this team, mother of 2 boys. She's a boy mom. She knows so much about nutrition. She's a nutritionist. She has literally dominated the fitness space. So I want Melanie Paxton to come on in and share with us a little bit of knowledge about children's nutrition. And she's got it all planned. So I'll just let her talk. Mel, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can.
All right. Okay. Yeah. So thank you for inviting me to speak about kids nutrition. And I do kind of want to back it up a little bit because we have so much more than kids nutrition. And I also want all of the moms or future moms or the moms that you're helping to know that it starts way before when we're actually feeding the kids. And I have some experience with using our line during pregnancy and breastfeeding. So I wanted to back it up because it starts way before we're actually having to feed the kids. So I started Isagenix when I was 3 weeks postpartum, breastfeeding and looking for something healthy and safe was a big one I could take while I was breastfeeding as well, which one of the big reasons why it drew me to Isagenix. And I ordered my first box at 3 weeks postpartum, and the rest is history. Now it's been 4.5 years of my monthly subscription through different phases of life. Initially breastfeeding, brand new mom, first baby, and then lost the baby weight using the products, and then started getting my mojo back and got into fitness a little bit again, got pregnant, so had the opportunity to use it during my second pregnancy. I can attest to the difference in energy and how much better I felt the second time around. And then again, breastfeeding, and then getting my mojo back, getting fit again, and I competed using the products as well. So already so many different phases of life, but today I want to touch on some resources for you when you are helping a new mom or somebody who's pregnant, breastfeeding, so that you know what to go search for when the time comes, instead of me also just talking about the products. So a big resource, I always Google it whenever I need it. I Google Isagenix pregnancy or Isagenix breastfeeding, and the article comes up. And the article always gets updated when there's new products. So I don't just save the article, I always Google it so the new one comes up. So you can always do that, it'll come up. And then it shows you what a woman can use while breastfeeding and pregnant, what she can consult her doctor on, and then what not to use. And the big thing is the list of what not to use. It's not because it's not safe, it's because there's botanicals in it, and you can't ethically research that in a pregnant woman. So, which is why there's a list that you cannot use. I did cheat a little bit. I used some of them, and there's a lot of women who do consult naturopaths, and a lot of naturopaths will put their stamp of approval on it, but that's up to you, your research. So that's a big resource. Another one that we have, which is for moms and kids, is this book, Healthy Moms and Kids. And I've had this one for so long, already 4.5 years. So today I looked up whether it was still available, and it is. It's actually in its 3rd edition, because there's things in there, if you've been around for a while, like our Mars Venus wellness system. So old. So we don't have that anymore. So you can order the 3rd edition. It will be updated for you. And it talks about healthy pregnancy, breastfeeding, what to feed your kids, and everything that, all the reasons we use ISIS, it applies to our children as well. Toxicity in the world, food being nutritionally bankrupt, all the same reasons apply as to why you would want to give your best to your children as well. For those who don't know, we have a new mom bundle as well, that when you're getting a new mom getting started, whether she's pregnant or breastfeeding, you can find that in your back office. It's called the New Mom Bundle, and it comes with our shakes, two shakes. It comes with our bars. All this is fine for pregnancy, breastfeeding. It comes with our Amped Hydrate. So we need to be hydrated, especially whether you're nursing or pregnant. You need to stay on top of your water, and adding this to your water helps so much. In that New Mom Bundle, you'll also get the Immune Shake Booster. You need to be healthy, cannot get sick, you can't take any medication or anything, so you gotta make sure you're on top of it. It also comes with our IsaBiome system, so you get the probiotics and the digestive enzymes. It's a bundle. It's easy, and the mom gets so many health benefits from it. So that's pregnancy and breastfeeding for you. And then as well, you'll see on the list, there's lots of our, like many of our snacks you can use breastfeeding too, which is so important to be feeding yourself, to be able to take care of your nutrition while taking care of your new little one. Also, because in utero, what you're using is obviously helping you grow your baby. What you're using postpartum is so important to be taking care of yourself, because already you are taking care of your child's nutrition. So another one, if you don't know, that you can use during pregnancy and breastfeeding is our organic greens. Also, it's okay for children as well. So 4+, your kids can be using this as well, if you didn't know. Snacks were so useful for me when I was breastfeeding. I had them in a little basket beside my nursing station. When I was stuck there and the baby fell asleep and I couldn't move, I could at least feed myself. Another good one, I don't have the fish oil on its own anymore because I'm using the pill packs, but fish oil is so important for you when you're pregnant and breastfeeding, for babies and heart development, but also for your own postpartum maternal, postpartum mental, especially after having a baby. So important to be taking your fish oil. And then I will take it to our kids, our actual kids nutrition line. If you look in your IsaLife app, there's 2 products under that category because they can use them. But at the same time, if you Google our allergen table, you'll see a list of ages at the end, and you'll see that there's so much more than just these 2 things that your kids can take. There's so actually everything I just mentioned today, except for the probiotics and the digestive enzymes, because those are built for an adult digestive tract. Everything else they can take, the bars, the shakes, the Amped Hydrate. If your kids are playing sports, you should be giving them Amped Hydrate and not Gatorade. And all of these products, they can use the greens, the bars, the smoothies. But if you do look in the app, there's a little kids section, and we do have our own Isa Kids smoothies. They taste really good. And our vitamins, which right before getting on, I've never tried these. I'm like, I better try one because I've never had it before, and they taste really good, which is probably why my kids love them too. So we do have, I don't know if you can see, Isa Kids Essentials, where they're getting 16 vitamins and minerals. So good. And then in the smoothies, they're formulated for their little growing bodies. So they have more calcium and fiber in them. They have the healthy fats. They have the vitamins that they need. And 10 grams of protein as opposed to 24 grams in the adult size. However, when I run out of this, I will give them 1 scoop of our regular shake, because it is 12 grams of protein instead of 24, and they're still getting so many more benefits than most easy snacks that you can give your kids, and everything, all the processed bars and things they sell at the grocery store. So in a nutshell, I mean, there's lots of products that you're using for yourself that you can use for your children to enhance their nutrition, and for the same reasons you are: toxicity, nutritionally bankrupt foods, convenience, getting out the door fast in the morning. Like, we use the smoothies for that, because not only have to get myself ready, I have to get them ready, make the lunches, all of the things. So it helps, I find, not only me as a mom, but them as well. So if you have any questions, the list, like, this book is going to be super helpful. Googling the article for Isagenix pregnancy breastfeeding, you'll learn a lot there, and look up the new mom bundle and the kids products, and hopefully you implement that in your family as well.
So good, Melanie, you're incredible. Oh my goodness. I know, I'm sure as a mom, like, you hear other moms talk about, their kids being hyper, they're being allergic to certain foods, and just, I feel like I'm not a mom, but I talk to moms and they're so stressed about their children, right? So when you're introducing this, like, do you just, I mean, how would you introduce this to someone? Like, some of us are moms on the call, some of us aren't. Like, what's the easiest way to bring it up to people, do you think?
So I would approach it the same way I talk to a mom to explore her diet. Like, so tell me about your typical day. And then they'll tell me about what they eat. And usually you'll find the gaps in terms of protein and convenience and taking care of themselves. And the same thing, I think, works for children as well, where if you're exploring with them on, like, how are your kids eating? Where can we add some ease into your lifestyle for your whole family, not just for yourself?
So powerful. And I'm a big fan, you guys, like, when a pregnant woman reaches out to me, or I'm connecting with her breastfeeding, I love to use our product support page. And hopefully, if you use Isa Lifestyle, or if you have your own respective pages, there should be a video, a post on pregnancy, on breastfeeding. Melanie did a video in ISA Lifestyle that I love to tag people in. So that way they, you know, the ATM that Heather Godfrey was teaching us about, add tag message, I can then say, hey, I tagged you in a video. This is my business partner, Melanie. She used the products during her pregnancy. And then it's like, that's the tool I use. And then the link she's talking about, sending that to them, the accredited article, and there you go. Is that kind of a good approach, you think, Melanie, for education?
Yeah, I still use that video even though I'm in it, but you can search it. I didn't necessarily post it. Scott posted it for me, but if you search Melanie Paxton pregnancy, the video will come up in ISA Lifestyle, and I'll use it too. I've got the belly going in there. I'm fully pregnant. And I do talk about some of the products that I use during pregnancy. Even I forgot to touch on today, but fiber, like our fiber snacks as well. For one reason I remember mentioning in the video, we have so much pressure on our lower body when we're pregnant, which contributes to the spider veins, like the varicose veins, because it's so heavy, and making sure you're not adding more pressure by trying to go to the bathroom. You can use our fiber snacks.
Wow. So good. You are just full of all the tips, girlfriend. Thank you.
I did it twice. I know a lot of people have done it many more times, but I'm
so
done.
Good. So good. And you guys follow Mel. She puts like such great content on her Instagram, on her Facebook. It's so inspiring to see. And she's just full of so much education. So thank you. Thank you. Okay. Yeah. There's like so many great comments. I love it. Go check those out. Give Mel some love. And now we're going to switch gears a little bit and get into the training. Like I said, we need to learn how to tell our story. You know, you probably heard it over and over again. 80% of this business is talking to people. And if you don't know what to say or how to say it or your story, it's like you will have Penny time blocked and you'll time block your reach outs, but you'll stall. And suddenly you're cleaning the floors in the kitchen. Suddenly you're making another shake. Suddenly you're like, oh, maybe I'll do a Facebook post instead, because you're tripping on your words. So I'm going to get myself out of the way and let Del Rey come in, because she's a master at this. And what I've seen with her and everybody she mentors, they really just got their story down so well. So let's give it up for Del Rey and have her come in and train us.
Yay, I'm so excited to be here. Hi, ladies. Thank you, Em, for that introduction. And Melanie, thank you for the training. That was so good. So many reminders about how powerful this is for breastfeeding pregnant mamas and simplifying their nutrition. I'm so happy to be here. I know that this time is really unlike anything we've all experienced in this world. So guess what? It puts us all on level playing field. So I don't have necessarily any more skills to message people right now than you do. I just always go back to the basics of learning how to actually connect with people, how to relate with people, how to have a conversation with a human. And I think that's something that we forget so often in our industry. You know, there are scripts that are out there. There's so many things that you can practice and role play, but you have to really understand that this is unlike anything we've all experienced. And we can ignore that, or we can actually acknowledge it and understand what people are really going through during this time. We have a triad of a pandemic, to social justice and inequality, to now a political season. There is so much. So on a scale of 1 to 10, I want you to tell me how confident you are in your reach outs right now, just in creating connections and conversations. Scale of 1 to 10. Okay, I see some 4s, 5s, I see a 10, I see 4s, 3, 6, see some 10s, but usually they're the leaders on the team. We've had a lot of experience and conversations. 2s, 5s, an 8, 4, starting connections, convo 2, okay, 3 to 5. Now tell me, what's the main reason why you feel that way and why you rated it, that number? It's actually really, really important to actually just acknowledge it. I need more practice. We all need more practice. My words, my confidence. I've done it 1,000 times. Thank you, Emily. confidence, nervous, I need to have more confidence, worried about saying the right thing or the wrong thing. This is so good. I fear rejection. I don't feel natural at it. Isagenix doesn't always fit into the conversation. Anybody feel that way? Need to practice and gain more confidence. Sometimes I have a hard time with reaching out and I don't hear. I have failed. Thank you, Robin. I have failed forward many times. The one thing I admire most about you is your work ethic. Like, you just do not quit. You show up all the time. Product knowledge, overthink what I say. Failure is the best teacher. Lack of confidence. Okay, so I've heard lack of confidence and I need more practice. Did you see that? How many times it was listed? And maybe several of you resonate with it. Isn't it funny that the one thing that gives us the most confidence is experience, yet it's the one thing we avoid the most? So if you're, a basketball player, so I watched my daughter play her basketball game the other day, and the difference between the teams was extremely apparent. I had seen that that other team, they literally did not miss one free throw. Every single one. You had seen that they had practiced over and over and over again. And because of that, they mastered a skill. When you come into this business, or if you're at like a sticky point, developing skill sets is not in accordance with leadership. Like, developing skill sets is all about repetition, and repetition comes from having more conversations. I know you know that, but you're avoiding it for a reason. You're either avoiding it because of the outcome, the fear. When you say you don't know what to say, I can guarantee you know how to talk to people. You know how to have a conversation. You've done it before, but now it's really figuring out, how do I message, or what is my language during a time of so much overwhelm and uncertainty? And if we're tone deaf to what is going on, that is what makes us another network marketing company that tries to approach people about hype income, or tries to sell the product or the business opportunity, instead of literally listening to what people are going through and getting to work to literally just serve people during this time. And when you struggle bringing up Isagenix, or you don't feel like it fits into the conversation, it's because you haven't mastered your own story. Because your own story is the bridge in the gap of you being a master connector and somebody that can literally have a conversation with someone, and you can reach out without the intent of saying, I'm going to get them enrolled in Isagenix, but more of the intent of, how do I serve this person in front of me, regardless of if Isagenix is a fit or not? Can I be a resource for them? Do I know someone in my network that could be a resource for them? Do I have resources or tools in my own life experience, personally or professionally, that could serve them in some way? And maybe that's Isagenix, and maybe it's not. Because for the majority of people, it's not. I mean, it took 3,000 conversations of 300 yeses to become an Isagenix millionaire. And that was after 10 years of sitting at a mall kiosk asking people to get their spine checked, and people telling me, no, are you crazy? I literally had rejection just mastered because I just knew that not everything was a fit for everyone. And so the confidence came from literally being able to pick up the phone and have a conversation. And I think that's what a lot of people are really looking for right now, is somebody that's just really willing to just listen. The most beautiful leaders, and you don't have to be a certain rank to be a leader, you just literally need to influence somebody's life for the positive. That's a leader. I don't care what your rank is on here. You don't even have to be a consultant. You can be an associate, be just as influential as me, because those that have influence have a voice. And people that have have a story to tell. And a lot of us minimize our story. I hear so many women minimizing their story, like, I wasn't in a tough enough place. I, didn't have that many health problems, so my story isn't relevant. That's just not true. There are so many pieces of your story that are relevant, especially in a time like right now, because I want you to ask yourself what your life would look like without Isagenix right now, or what it did look like previously, because that's what people are experiencing. If you hear me tell my story, you probably hear the same thing often, and there's a reason why. Because I know when I'm connecting with someone and they look at me and they feel that authentic component of that connection, it's because I've been able to relate to them in some way in their story and in mine. So I have led with, my life 6 years ago felt a lot like my world, and my life felt a lot like the world does today. Overwhelming, uncertain. I was in a big transition in my life, both personally and professionally. I was a healthcare practitioner and mom. And I was literally giving work and life the best of me, and my girls got the leftovers. And I was done with that. I needed a way to nourish my body on the go, simplify the complexity of nutrition. I was exhausted and burned out and lonely as a solo entrepreneur. I craved community. I wanted to make a bigger impact. And the reason why I wanted more financial freedom of choice is because I wanted to prioritize the most important and meaningful humans to me and experiences around what I wanted by choice, not by default, not by trading time for money, but building something that can literally not only make an impact in my life, but others. And how many times do you think I've said that? How many times? 10,000, 10,000. And it did not sound like that the first time I shared it. But what I want you to think about, we're literally going to make this a really interactive training because I believe that there's so much value in that. And all of your insecurities around connecting or around sharing or bridging that gap to Isagenix, we've all had them. You're not exempt. You're not like the special chosen one that is like lacking confidence and lacking self-esteem. We have all been there. It's just through more practice. So my best piece of advice is after this, I want you to role play any part of the business that you are hesitating to master, whether it's you share, they share, whether it is your story, whether it is the cost conversation that leads to a pack recommendation, mastering the art of the three-way. Are you doing three-way calls? Those parts of the business that need the most work are the ones that need just repetition. And I want you to get out the you share, they share script, like get it out. You're going to read it. And then suddenly you're going to be able to immerse your own language into those words. And then suddenly it becomes your own. And when you master a skill, what happens? It becomes a part of your DNA. It literally becomes a part of your behavior because it becomes so second nature. What is one thing that you have mastered in your life that was hard previously? I always remind women of this. I'm like, you've done this before. It's not like you've never done something hard before, whether it was going to get a degree or I don't know, just being a parent. I think it's like one of the hardest jobs that I have. It's like constant learning and evolving and like pivoting and trying to figure it out, language. You've done it and you can do it again. So now it's like getting down to like, let's develop your story that's impactful and meaningful. And impactful and meaningful doesn't mean that your life had to be like in the toilet in order to do Isagenix. There just has to be pain points that resonate with someone that says, wow, like this is really meaningful to you. This has added a lot of value to your life. And I am so grateful you're hearing me, that you are allowing me the space to be able to tell you what I am struggling with. If you can actually hold, I call it holding space. I like didn't even know what that meant. I go to a counselor and like, I love it. And I talk to a psychologist. It's amazing. And like a lot of this language has come from that. It's like being able to actually hold space for someone means you're not trying to convince them that something is for them. You're literally seeing, hearing, accepting the human in front of you and just listening. You get curious. Absolutely, Gabby. So when you're thinking about reaching out right now, I reach out according to what's going on in the world and what's going on seasonally. It's not just asking people, how are you, just to connect through Penny. Hey, how are you? How's it going? Yes, that is a name on a list, but it's a human in human form having a human experience right now that is likely overwhelming and uncertain. And you have no idea what's happened in their life in the past 9 months, which is why I actually really love having conversations right now, because I know that during this time, I can help more people than I've ever helped before, because so many people need resources and tools. And that's why also when you're developing your network and you're meeting new people that are high quality, like A team people, they might not be a part of your A team right away, but you're better bet if there's somebody that you really respect. Like I went to work to find a psychologist because I wanted to refer people to someone in the situations and transitions that I couldn't help with. And it was the best thing I've ever done. And I started to add people to my network that were going to be the best of the best. And I asked them, I wanted to learn more about them. How did you get passionate about what you did? I meet people every single day, and I need to build a network of people that I can refer people to. That's the whole point in network marketing, is you offer value to everyone, no matter if this is a fit for them or not. That is another piece of advice that I wish somebody would have given me 10 years ago, because we constantly think a relationship is like done, or I talked to someone, it's not for them. Well, is there anything else I can do to support you during this time? Is there anything else I can do to help you and your family during this time? Like, that is the type of language that I want literally just flowing through our team out into the world. Because if we are going to be different in a 2.0 version, you're not going to find it in just the same script for the same human. They're good because they give you bullet points like the script I'm going to give you for developing a story. But the most important component is that you have a human in front of you, and every single one of them needs you to hear them. So right now, reaching out about, well, what's going on in their world, personally and professionally. It is the holiday season. So let's think about listing off the pain points for somebody that would be your avatar, you know, emotionally, physically, financially. This is how I work with people that lack confidence in reaching out to people. List out pain points of the person that you most desire on your team as a customer or as a team leader, co-creating your leadership team. What would they be feeling right now? Emotionally, physically, financially. Emotionally, likely what? Overwhelmed, uncertain, maybe in a transition. Physically, I don't know, stressed, exhausted. You know, how are they feeling in their physical body? How are they sleeping? How is their nutrition routine? What are they doing for workouts right now? Are they working at home, or are they going to the gym? I'm just curious, like what, because we don't know. It depends on states, cities, everybody's different in their experience with that. How about the holidays? Have you thought about how challenging that could be emotionally for people right now? You know, not being able to see maybe grandparents, or only being able to drive by and see them for the first time in a long time. What about financially? You know, not being able to afford going to see a family member, a lost income. How many people have come home to take care of kids and they don't have that freedom of choice financially to work something from home? So I want you to list those out. And then I want you to circle the ones that are also in your story. And by doing that, you're going to start to connect the dots. You're going to be able to ask these questions that lead to you observing, oh my gosh, they're also stressed and overwhelmed. You know, 6 years ago, I felt that way too. I was in a big, and then I'll go into my story, the same thing I tell you, but really catered to what they have told me. Oh my gosh, I'm staying home to work out. I heard you're going to a gym. I have some friends that are too. You know, what are you using right now to maximize those workouts? Have you ever tried nutrient timing before? It's like asking questions that lead to then your story. Like, I couldn't believe the difference. The most amount of education I got on nutrient timing around my workouts, even as a college athlete, was carb load with spaghetti 2 days before. Like, I use that all the time because everybody's like, you're right. Like, you don't get any education around this topic. I learned the most from Isogenics, truly. And so, and then financially, like, I felt that same stress. Like, I was so sick and tired of buying my parents candles for Christmas. Like, I wanted to be able to spoil my family. I wanted to be able to give gifts to those I love the most. So you're kind of weaving in your own story with what they have told you. And then what Em said about, like, she's not a mom, and how powerful that she has a whole team of moms to plug into for stories. She just grabs a story, knows what the story is, borrows it, and said, you know, I can't really understand what you're going through, but I do have somebody on my team that sounds so much like you. She literally was experiencing the same things. That is really powerful. I'd love to introduce you to her. Her story is so inspiring and amazing. And literally, you're just like an arsenal of stories. You just have so many stories, and they're so authentic, and they're transparent, and they're emotional. Remember, whatever is meaningful to someone is emotional. it has to have emotion behind it. Doesn't mean you have to be crying in every coffee conversation, but it will happen a lot when you're able to really create that space for people to be vulnerable. In fact, I talked to a beautiful new leader just right before this call, and I just asked her, like, in the past 5 years, of using products, now she wants to share. She's so excited to launch her business. And I just said, what has been the biggest challenge that you've gone through? And how did you overcome it? Like, that's a great question to ask, because now you're getting into a state of vulnerability where that person will share with you, if they're open, of what is a big challenge they've overcome. And that gives you an opportunity to lead in your story in a more vulnerable way. And when I ask some people that, like, sometimes they'll be like, who are you? Like, you're going there first. I'm like, well, what do you want to do? Talk about the weather like everybody else does in the Midwest? Because that's nice and it's surface conversations. People do not need surface conversations and surface messaging right now. They need to know someone cares. And even if you're not in the same place that they are, even if you're in a good place, like I'm in a good place, but all I can think about is where I was 6 years ago. That's why I can't sleep. If I was comfortable, then I would be thinking about my life now, but I can't. I think about, if somebody wouldn't have shared this with me in the way they did, I would not be here, and connected me with other women that had the same story as me. So developing your own story is sometimes hard. It's the parts of your story that sometimes you don't want to share. And sometimes I think when we go back to those painful moments, it's like we think, oh my gosh, I don't want to go there. I don't want to get emotional about it. And you don't have to go into the details of stories to get in, like, to a victim mentality. You can share parts of your story that resonate because you're sharing the feelings around that event. That's one of the things that I see most often, is people will share a really lengthy story about maybe a personal transition, a breakup or something like that was hard. And instead of blaming or complaining or justifying or like elaborating on this story, you, like mine, that was in a really big personal transition that was really hard emotionally. And that kind of summarizes what maybe a lot of people feel. You've felt that before. If a woman has gone through that experience, it is not fun. I felt lonely. I felt like I was the only one going through it at the time. Like, you can find words that recap the emotion around the event. But if it's an important event that was something that impacted your life in a big way and you're passionate about it, it's important to share it. Because personally, one of my big vision and mission statements is I never want a woman to stay in an unhealthy relationship because she can't afford to leave. And if she's going to work with me and she's in one that she needs to leave, you better bet that I will work 24 hours a day to help her get out, because I know what that's like. So that is how you can share in a way that is inspiring and hopeful and stays positive, but also is vulnerable and emotional. Does that make sense? So we avoid those parts of our stories because vulnerability is like not easy. And I'll be the first to admit this. And we're going to dive into creating a few stories here so you can really see how I do it. Most importantly, take notes so that way you are ready to develop your team member stories, and help them with that, because it's a huge component to this business. If we do anything right with Isagenix 2.0, it is going to be sharing our customer stories. Raving fans do the talking for you. If you have enough raving fans sharing authentic stories about a product, like, done and done. There is nothing you can say or the company can say that can speak louder than the words of your own customer. It is powerful beyond measure, and it is not in the facts and it's not in the stats. Facts tell, stories sell. Stats do not move people. They don't. Emotion does. Stories do. So that's why we're going to be the most incredible storytellers that this company has ever seen as a team. I'm so excited to do it with you. But vulnerability is not something that I was good at. And I'll just share honestly, the reason why I burned out and the reason why I was exhausted is because every emotion that I had was shoved into athletics and was shoved into work. And that was my way of saying, see, validate me. I'm worth it. I'm worthy. I'm good enough. I'm smart enough. I work hard. But I was a mess inside. I was wearing every single mask that you could possibly think of. I was insecure. I didn't like who I was as a mom. I was so unhappy in relationships that were not meaningful or deep or emotional. I wanted intimacy, not only with myself and self-love, but I wanted that with others. And I knew I had to start with myself. And if you can actually be vulnerable enough to share your insecurities with others, be able to share parts of your story that make you feel like you're just like wide open, and that's scary. It is. I get that. But that's called courage. And you cannot have courage and fear coexist at the same time. What the world needs now more than ever is bold, brave, daring, courageous, authentic leaders. No one cares about my rank or the amount of money. They care about what I do with it and how I treat people and how you do. And the only thing you have left of this legacy in your life is how you make people feel. And if you can make people feel a certain way through your story or someone else's, and Isagenix isn't for them, what do you think they're going to walk away saying? I'll remember that. And if there's somebody that comes across my path, I know that they'll be a fit for you, and I'll refer them to you in a second. But if we leave people feeling icky because they said no and we're taking it personally, like it's a rejection to us, that's when it gets hard. And that's when you're not going to feel confident in your reach outs or your merging your message to Isagenix. So the biggest challenge that people have is, how do I go from just connecting to like bridging this gap to Isagenix? I struggled with that at the beginning. I was like, I don't know what to say. Oh my gosh, when do I say it? Now? They talked about like fitness. Now do I say it? Like, we have amped products. That's all I could think about. I literally could not get it until I was like 30 conversations in 3 days, no joke. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I'm trying to sell the product. It's not the product. I'm literally, I need to connect with their pain point, and that this is the solution. And right now, you guys, like, mental health is so big. Our community is what people are truly craving. I've asked people recently in new conversations, you know, who is your support system right now? Where do you go to have positivity, encouragement, and empowerment breathed into you daily? You go to work, home, like, people do not get that like we get that here. So some of those questions, how about this? I will list out in the page all of the questions that are like most common that I ask right now. And that way you can practice those. And then we're going to then transition into your story. Is that helpful? Because those questions are so important. Good Leaders Ask Great Questions. That's a really great book. I'm clearly an extrovert. I love talking. So my biggest challenge in this business was like, shh, be quiet. And I would like remind myself of that. In fact, my boyfriend shared a book with me when I first met him because he's a serious introvert, and it's called Quiet. And I was like, what is he trying to tell me? And he's like, no, this is a perfect book because it's going to help you understand introverts, like, and why you cannot overtalk the conversation, why you must lead with talking less and, you know, listening more. So that was a really great book if you struggle with that too, like over talking when you're nervous. So let's dive into this. Okay. So the first parts of your story, just go through the timeline. So my story always starts with a timeline, meaning I like to have people and paint a picture of like 6 years ago where my life was at. And so it literally changes. If you notice, even on my social media, it'd be like 5.5 years ago, 6 years ago. So it's kind of always going back to when I was introduced in that time. I was feeling. That's a really good place to start. 6 years ago, I was feeling. And then I've just recently said, like, my world and my life felt a lot like most people's do today. Overwhelmed, uncertain, in a big transition, personally and professionally, and yours may be different. And a lot of us do focus on our physical transformation most of the time in our story, but you can weave really all three into your story. And that's what's powerful about our business opportunity, is just being able to weave something really emotional into the financial opportunity in your story is enough sometimes to just plant a seed. Just plant a seed in those conversations that you've had more freedom of choice financially for a reason. So we're going to list off, I would start with just five pain points that you had physically and how you were feeling. And then emotionally again, and then financially. So I was feeling exhausted and overwhelmed. And we're going to do a couple of examples here of some newbies, and that way you can kind of learn how I take people through this. And then I love using, for who introduced you, I was introduced to Isagenix by, I love using now. I was introduced to an incredible nutrition solution by a trusted friend. I think that's really big. If that's true, I think it's really important, because the word trust is clearly in our language now for our core, new vision statement. So my trusted friend that I highly respected shared a nutrition solution with me. After just a week, I felt, honestly, this is like what I said, I felt like trees were greener, no joke. I saw clearer for the first time in so long. And I remember vividly the first time I was dancing around in the kitchen, with my little one, after a week, and I had not done that in so long. It just felt so good. I was like, I actually feel joyful right now. That was unbelievable. And I had always had a passion for making an impact, but I didn't have the right vehicle to do so. So when I was surrounded and mentored by incredible women that had gone before me, I was super curious about the opportunity to be able to work from home. You heard the first part of my story, designing my life around who and what is most meaningful to me. Literally, I wanted to find a way to do that for myself. I didn't want anybody to ever tell me that I couldn't go somewhere to be with a family member that needed me. That was so important. And it's very important to a lot of people as well. And so you can weave that into your story. What has the financial component done for you? And it's around freedom of choice financially. As a result, I had more energy. I released 10 pounds. But what was so powerful about that is, for the first time, I felt good in my own skin. I felt confident. My self-esteem changed. And because of that, my relationships with those that are closest to me changed. They improved. I was a happier, more fulfilled version of myself. My work productivity changed. What are some of those words that really describe, what you experienced? Not just, I lost 10 pounds. Well, what did that do for you? And if you're the person that maybe tried every diet, what did that feel like? What did it feel like? Did it feel exhausting? Like you put all your energy, time, and effort and wasted time on things that didn't last? Do you know how many people have felt that way? Were you judging your worth by the number on the scale? That's another really powerful verbiage. Hi. I don't know, in my bedroom, I think. Or wait, right there. Down there. Unplug it right there. Do you want to show everybody your skeleton? It's really, really cute. Sorry, she's getting a charger. Okay, say hi. There's a skeleton! So cute. And it glows in the dark. It's pretty adorable. We just carved a pumpkin today. And I painted leaves. In a second. So those parts of your story, I want you to think about what you have shared in your story thus far, if you do have one that has been really surface. You're like, I lost 10 pounds, or I was exhausted and drained. Well, and then write down by each one of those three, emotional, physical, financial, who and what in my life that was most meaningful to me did that negatively impact? Because I spent so much time feeling like my worth was a number on the scale, I lost so much precious time. I mean, for me, it was like raising two girls. I never wanted them to see that, ever. I wanted them to have the healthiest, most fulfilled version of a mom that would never judge her worth on that. Those are the things that are so meaningful. And it's what people are thinking deep down, their biggest insecurities around it, but they're just not saying it. And when you go first and you say it, then suddenly it opens people up. And what does it feel like to financially struggle? For me, it's saying no to the people I love the most when I want to say yes. Have you ever had to say no to your kids when you've wanted to say yes? What is the financial, emotional? So financial is the experiences that maybe you didn't get to have. Maybe there was a time when you vividly remember like a child asking you to go do something or buy something and you had to say no. I mean, I was on WIC groceries. I remember walking by Flowers in Cairo school, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like honestly, if all I could have was flowers on my table every week, like that would be so amazing. I was raising like a 3-month-old at that time. On WIC, you get like bread and cheese and milk. Like I was just imagining what it would be like. It's just powerful to be able to think of those moments and share those moments. And then just asking, like, have you ever felt that way? And that bridges that gap perfectly to Isagenix, because what you found now is freedom in all of those areas. And I love our new statement of what we want to create, our mission statement of we want to help more people live joyful, healthy, and abundant lives. That literally covers physical, emotional, financial. Our team, my vision is to help you live a healthy, joyful, and abundant life. This may or may not be a fit for you, but I truly believe it could add value to your life. Would you at least be open to watching a short video, meeting my friend? No matter what, like hearing her story is going to positively impact your life. I know it. So I've summed it all up with connecting story. It may or may not be a fit for you is so powerful because it gives people the grace to say no. And then your relationship is intact. My little brother has not put one Isagenix product in his body. He's an engineer, so stubborn. We'll go on bike rides. We are so close. He'll down Gatorade. I'm downing my hydrate. Hasn't touched one. And our relationship is just as close, absolutely the same. I love him, accept him, appreciate him, edify him. And that's the place to be as a leader. It's not a rejection of me. It's okay. It's absolutely okay if it's not a fit. But would you at least be open to taking a look? Would you be open to meeting my friend? I really feel it would add value to your life and it would help. Like I will say that. I feel it will add value to your life. My mission and vision is to help more people live a joyful, healthy, and abundant life. And it's a great way to kind of summarize it. Okay, so let's do a couple of examples. I gotta check yep, we have some time. So let's do who is somewhat new, wants to develop their story, and has something that is decently like emotional as a part of the story. And remember, everything emotional is meaningful. So if it's meaningful to you, it's emotional. That's where that unraveling the narrative of my story doesn't matter, my story isn't enough, and then comparing yourself to other people's stories, that's the fastest way to take you out of the game. Literally, the world needs your story because you're a unique human with unique DNA. Your influence will never be my influence because your story is different. And with all the beautiful humans on this planet, and when you have an abundant mindset, you just realize like you need to share your story. It's a must. Okay, I see Victoria, Sydney, I'm Brianna. Where's Sydney? Catherine?
She should be there. I saw her join.
Sydney, are you available or are you taking care of kiddos?
I'm just checking if she's still on.
Okay.
Yeah, she's
I'm
on,
here.
Del Rey. Oh, there you go.
Okay, perfect.
I'm just hiding.
No worries. Okay, so let's do this. Here's what I usually ask when we're developing stories for happy product users. So how long have you been on products?
For about 10 months now.
10 months. And tell me a few reasons why you decided to try Isagenix.
It originally started with Ionic Supreme because as a new mom, I really wanted to reduce stress in every way possible. And then after that, I wanted to find something that was suitable for my lifestyle. So grabbing a quick shake was definitely my go-to as a new mom. And then starting to see all the weight loss come off so easily as a lifestyle, not so much a diet, is what kept me really going with the products.
And had you tried other diets before?
Oh yes, multiple, and failed all of them because they were way too strict. just not suitable for my lifestyle. And it was like I couldn't make meals that the rest of the family could eat. Whereas with Isagenix, I just replaced a meal and then I could cook a general normal meal, as you would say, for my family.
How did it make you feel when you failed at those diets?
I honestly was just about to just start living my life thinking that I was meant to be larger. And then it became beyond the physical part. It started to trickle into the mental part after being a mom.
Tell me, can you explain that? Tell me what that felt like when it trickled into the mental part. Describe what you mean. Was there a certain incident that happened, or where you kind of hit your breaking point, or just what were the emotions around it?
Yeah, I definitely hit my breaking point. I've always wanted to be a mom, but as a mom, I'm sure you know what postpartum feels like. My second time around, I literally went running to my doctor saying, like, help me, what kind of medication can I get on? I was at that point. And then, yeah, I just started looking for alternative ways with Ionix. And then I realized that completely changing my lifestyle is what I needed to do. So
Awesome.
that was the answer.
Awesome. Did you feel overwhelmed postpartum? Did you feel lonely as a new mom?
Definitely overwhelmed for sure.
So so I'm just gonna, like, all of you on this call, do you see how people will tell you the things that they'll tell you those, but it's digging deeper. She said, I used Ionix as a new mom to reduce stress, and we're going to go back to that. But I found a lifestyle that wasn't a diet. So we literally go into the parts of our story that are the benefits of Isagenix immediately. It's literally human nature to do it. We want people to feel like we feel. So we go to the parts of our story that are, this is how I benefited from it. It's a lifestyle, not a diet. But she's going to be able to connect with so many more women by saying, like, I literally was at my breaking point. I had tried so many diets that were too strict. I not only failed at those, but I felt like a failure. And postpartum is not only challenging as a new mom in all ways, but to then feel overwhelmed and like I couldn't function. Like, that's a whole nother story, right? That is so powerful. Like, those are the parts that will speak to such a broad range of women versus just, I found a lifestyle now or I found a product that supports my lifestyle. So this is exactly what I'm talking about with going deeper with your story. And if you're there yourself, now you have an example of why I'm digging deeper. It's like onion layers. And if you see that every kind of surface benefit or surface struggle, like restrictive diets, failed at them, tried everything, well, how did that make you feel? So underneath those events or underneath the thing they're telling you, there is an emotion. And you want to get the word around that emotion if it's overwhelmed. And that's also a really powerful way to stay compliant because then you're not talking about numbers and things that people just don't really care about. They care that how you felt before, because that's how they feel. When people have gone through a lot of health struggles and they've been to, doctor after doctor and test after test, instead of saying, like, I had this, diagnosis and I tried everything. How about, I felt like I was on a medical treadmill and I was getting nowhere. It was test after test, doctor after doctor. I felt so alone, like, in my journey with this. It felt so frustrating. There was those, rock bottom moments, and describe one of them. That is so much more powerful than the stat. Do you see there's a stat and there's a story, and there's a huge difference. Okay, Sydney, now we have Ionix Supreme as a new mom. So reducing stress, again, we can kind of go into that. What does that feel like when you're overwhelmed and stressed? For me, the way that I dug deeper in my story in that is I felt like a leftover mom. That was the best way for me to describe it. I was like, everything in my life was getting the best of me because it had to. I had to do that. And they were getting the leftovers. And constantly I hear women say, like, it's just too hard to do this business. And I was like, yeah, but what's harder? If you really dig into your story, you tell me what's harder. I believe that life was so much harder than every growing pain that I had in this for the past 6 years. And there's so many. So I want you to dig into that for your story. And then you were introduced by a trusted friend, Sydney. And now I know your favorite product. I know that you now are adapting to stress and managing it. You released how much weight again?
About 30 pounds.
30 pounds? Ah, so exciting. And how does that make you feel?
I honestly feel like a brand new person, believe it or not. I'm a better wife, I'm a better mom. And it's changed everything, not just physically, but mentally, and now personal development wise and everything. So it kind of just all trickled together.
So here's what I'm going to challenge you to do. I want you to find an example of why you feel like you're a better mom and a better spouse. I have more intimacy with my significant other. Like, that's huge. It's huge for relationships. My mood has improved. Now, like, dancing with my munchkin that first week of putting these products in my body, like, you can vividly picture that. We do it every day now. Those are the type of things that I want you to really hone in on your story. We'll do one more because I know we got to end. I know we're going a little bit over because I talked a lot, but I think this is important. Let's do one more. Thank you, Sydney.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, who do we see here? Juliana. I feel like Juliana came up several times. Juliana Weiss. Are you here?
I am here, yes.
That was like 3 times. Okay, perfect. All right, here we go. How long have you been on products?
I'm sorry?
How long have you been on products?
2 years.
Okay. And then what were some of the pain points you had before you started? The reason why you decided to say yes?
Mainly for energy and a little weight loss.
Okay. And tell me about that. Like, what was, lack of energy affecting in your life, and what did it feel like to carry around that extra weight that you wanted to release?
I was just exhausted. I always thought I was pretty healthy. I worked out, I ran, thought I ate really great, and I just didn't feel good.
Okay. And who or what was that affecting in your life that's actually really meaningful to you?
I was probably falling asleep about 7:30 on the couch, and my kids were like, "What is wrong with you?"
Okay, that's it. That's the beginning part of your story. Is your ideal customer or ideal business partner another mom that felt how you did?
Yes.
Did you say? Okay. So that's what I'm saying. Like, that's the part of your story we need to hear. Yes, you're exhausted, but what is another mom? When do you feel most guilty as a mom? I don't know, when you fall asleep at 7:30 and you're not able to be there for your kids.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. When you're not showing up for your kids.
Exactly. So that's perfect. So I want you to, dive into that with the exhausted word, and then talk about the weight challenge.
It was only about like 10, 15 pounds for me, but that was a lot because I was working out so much, and I was, like I said, I was running, and for some reason it just kind of crept up on me, and I just chalked it up as my age. As you hit your 40s, you just gain weight, and that's just what happens.
Yeah.
So
that's good. That'll resonate with a lot of people, because you did say too, it wasn't even just about the number. It was, you were frustrated because you were actually putting in the work to work out. And a lot of people have felt that way. They're working out, they're eating healthy, but stuck. Yep. I was stuck and frustrated because I thought I was doing everything right, but there were still 10 sticky pounds. And, a trusted friend introduced me to an incredible nutrition solution. And, I felt more energy, more mental clarity.
Oh gosh, I felt definitely more energy. I would stay up later. I would get up earlier. I definitely had better mental clarity. I felt like the fog was lifted. And I felt like my impatience was like, it was more manageable. Things just kind of, you still have those stressors. It's just more manageable.
So good. So good. And then was there any vivid moments where you were actually like up at night and not asleep on the couch, where you're like, whoa?
It was actually when I was sitting up talking one night with my husband in bed, and he was like, "What is wrong with you?"
Yep.
Because I was just talking. He's like, what is this stuff that you're doing? Because it's like you're like on crack. Like that
Good.
was it.
So I'm assuming also that your ideal avatar business partner customer probably has a husband that has experienced an exhausted wife.
Yeah.
Maybe she's tried a few diets or two, maybe skeptical about isogenics. That is a really important part of your story because that validates a spouse also saying like, give this a go. You know, like hers just suddenly was like, what's going on with you? Like it was noticeable. That's a huge part of a family story. Like, who is meaningful to you that this has impacted? That's your story, because our meaningful relationships are what makes our life meaningful. And suddenly, when you become the best version of yourself, you don't just affect your journey, you affect everyone around you. And that's why we pull these moments. Like I remember falling asleep on the couch at 7:30 after I put this in my body. My husband was like, what is happening, after I talked to him for an hour at night when I was usually sleeping for 2 hours before. And honestly, you can bring some lightheartedness into it as well, especially in the after side. You see how I go from like those challenging moments to then like, no joke, I felt like trees were greener for the first time. Like then you can give people that hope and that light and that joy on the other side of it. Like that's a really powerful part of your story. How about financially? What has this done for you?
So I really dove into the business about 6 months ago, like right after COVID, and not because of COVID, but really I tried it on and off. And I actually, honestly, my main thing is my daughter horseback rides, and I pay her board for the horse every month with my Isogenics money. So it doesn't affect our family income. So that's really what I'm using it for.
So then you can transition to that after, I released the 10 pounds. I'm talking to my husband at night. I feel like I'm a better version of a mom. And I felt so passionate about helping other people feel this way. My vision is to help more people live a joyful, healthy, and abundant life. And because of that, I've been able to, instead of taking out of our family budget, I've been able to use this income to pay for boarding her horse. And, I want to help more people bridge an income gap that they may be experiencing right now.
Mm-hmm.
Powerful. So
I need you to write all that down for me.
I will, but you do see that do you see, all of you, that when you get into your heart and stop getting into your head, like you will pull those moments because you can vividly visualize it, and people know that. And yes, it's recorded. Like I said. So perfect.
Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Well, we'll end there. And I'll be in the group. I want to just support all of you to help you develop your stories. My passion is that. So if you do need a little bit more work on yours, let's get into the group, post it. Then we can all give suggestions. And then I want to do a team-wide power post of our stories. That would be huge. I think Sunday night would be a good night. Sunday nights are always really good, or even go live. We've had some new leaders just literally go live. I'm like, what are you waiting for? People need you. What is your mission? What is your purpose? Why are you here on this planet? Like, invest in that. And they did. It's powerful. You can do it too. Absolutely. It just takes more practice, and go find a partner and role play like several times. And I will tell you, like when you're shaking in your shoes, that's courage. Choose courage. You cannot be courageous and fearful at the same time, and more people need you to be courageous. I think you're muted, love.
So good. Oh my gosh. Can we give Del Rey jazz hands, your fingers, whatever? Okay. So this is what we need to do. Every single one of us needs to do our story in the Millionaire Girls Club. Okay, in the next 48 hours. Is that fair, Del Rey?
Yeah, for sure.
And then hashtag my story. So that way,
we can all go.
Yeah, we can all go look at each other's stories. And then what Del Rey said, Sunday night, whether you take a picture, write out your story, do a live, do your story, I don't know if you can do a reel, do your story, probably not because it's too short, but you get my drift. We all need to do that on Sunday night. So powerful.
I'm in. Let's do it.
Thank you so much. Do you guys have more clarity? And even those of you that have been in for a while, maybe you need to dig a little deeper. Has it been super surface level? Yeah. So I'm excited. Well, okay, we have 48 hours. So let's get to our stories, write it out. And I know what I did. I wrote it out and I just kept reading it over and over and over again before I went to bed at night. And that helped it sink in. So thank you.
Yes. Good night, ladies.
Mwah. Good
Bye.
night. Bye.